Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Gotta say, it is a strange news day. You're going to want to record this show. Well, we record the show, but you're going to want to go back and look at this one or listen to this one at some point and probably share some of what you hear today, because I'm telling you, this is one of the strangest news days in a long time for me. And if you do want to look at the show, listen to the show. Why do I keep saying look at the show? Like we got video. We should have video because I'm kind of cute. But anyway, KJRadio.com is where you can find the show podcast down the road if you want to look at it later. Hurricane Irma, obviously, tropical storm now, breaking up, still pounding the Florida coast to some degree. And of course, it isn't, yes, certainly the powerful winds at 185 mile an hour, bending things over, toppling trees and cars and all that. But then you got the flooding, right? And then there's the remnants. It's that when it sits and hangs over you, and that's the problem. So what? Almost a dozen deaths or whatever, and that's with a huge evacuation. And now the real job begins. Now people have to recover. They have to come back. And I always think of this when I think of hurricanes or any type of natural disaster. I think to myself, what would you take? A storm is looming, coming down the pike at you. What do you take? What do you take? Do you take your pictures, your mementos, whatever? I don't. Is everything you have now of its importance in the cloud? The special, because it could be. You could have all your documents photo documented and stuck up in the cloud somewhere, or you take your collection of DVDs and if you got your gold and silver in a safe deposit box, you could do that. I don't know, but what would you take? Because you got at least with a hurricane, you have quite a bit of time to think about it. In the scheme of things, if I lived in Florida, I would have a bug out trunk that had everything we wanted in it. Because it's the stuff you can't get back. The reason why I bring this up, I have 4 sons. And we've kept all these little mementos and things from these boys that we couldn't take these stuffed animals and some of these other things that you would want to take that are mementos of their lives. Maybe you get all that stuff, and then when you live in Florida, you got to have a big UPS that's up in the, against the weather. I don't know. Maybe it's a sign for me I got too much junk laying around the house. But what do you take? I think of life as that, right? Well, what are you taking from life? If today you had to cash it in, what is left? What do you want to be remembered by? Isn't that sort of what we think about when we're thinking about keepsakes in tragedies? When people go back to tornado ripped houses and stuff, you watch them sifting through junk and they're looking for these little items. They find a picture of their grandmother or something, and they just break into tears. Isn't that kind of what life's about? Let me ask you this question. What do you think leftists are going to take from their miserable lives? Seriously. What mementos are they taking? What's the focus? I bet you there's a correlation between conservatism and leftism based on just what would you take from your house? What has significance to you? Is it your gold and silver? Which again, if you're conservative, you probably got that in a safe deposit box or something else. But how do you determine what your life is about? In split seconds. I think of it in tornadoes and mudslides and things like that. Do you even bother? Netanyahu says, why do people take so many pictures? He goes, live your life. There's something to be said about that. I know this. I have had a rich life. And people go, Kevin, I had a girl ask me, Kevin, when you were in Thailand, where'd you go scuba diving? I don't even remember. I don't know the name. I may remember the city, but I don't remember stuff. And then I look back on it, I go, God, why don't I do that? Why do I not take my camera and document everything and then make journals and all that? And I think, well, you are a little bit busy living it. But I envy the people when I go and I see their their scrapbooks and mementos, and these people that are so artistic in how they do this stuff and document everything. I was in Paris, hung out with one of my sons and his fiance, and I couldn't tell you. We took some video, a few pictures, and I couldn't tell you much about it. Honest to goodness. It was such a non-issue for me. And admittedly, it just didn't have the appeal it had years ago. But there's a part of me that says, why don't I do this? And I don't know if you guys feel the same way. And I don't think it's casting aspersions on anybody in particular. But why? What is it? Anyway, I know I'm getting off. That's not what I wanted to talk about. My producers are like, speed it up. Speed up what? This is life. This is me talking about life. I'm exploring my inner self with my audience. But I think about this. You think about a legacy. When I was younger, I wanted to leave a legacy. You know what? Honestly, I don't really care. I believe that you live your life and people are going to make the assessments of your life the way they think it. There are people on the left who are going to think I'm the scourge of the earth. I got some dude that every time he claims he wants to beat me up, I tell him, well, then I'll be over here. And he doesn't do it. And he's stalking me all the time. And, I think he's obsessed. And I think to myself, I'm never going to change his mind about what he thinks about me, other than if he were to ever meet up with me, I just, I'd lay him out. But outside of that, I'm not going to change his mind about how he views me. Well, actually, laying his butt out might change his mind. So I stand corrected of myself. But most of the people that have listened to me, they're dyed-in-the-wool leftists. They don't care. And, but here's what I can tell you. I am proud of the minds I've changed on the right. I think a lot of people go, Kevin, I have become more fearless. I have become more this or that. And I think that's fantastic. So maybe it is working, but here's the point. I don't mean to sound cruel in this, but I don't really care. These are the opinions of a guy who I believe is giving you the best of himself. And I get up and I try to do that every single day when I'm talking on the radio. So congratulations if you get something out of it, because you know what? That's what I believe our roles are in life, is to bring out the best in each other. Anyway, we got a ton to talk about, folks, besides all this. Hillary Clinton is still pounding the left. She's Hurricane Hillary. They want to get away from her. Steve Bannon, ruffling feathers. Is college rape a crisis? Betsy DeVos chimes in. A lot coming up. Keep it up.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville. Can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. What do you do? By the way, it's the Kevin Jackson Show. 844-551-8255. What do you do when Ms. Freaking America is going to bad talk the president? Effectively bad talk the country. Oh my goodness. I saw this story. So I should have talked about this the other day. And I got to tell you, honest to goodness, sometimes I think my mind may be going because it does slip my mind sometimes. I wanted to talk about this. It was big news, but we talked about Bannon. We talked about the NFL, a bunch of other stuff. But Miss America, I find these pageants and things like this to be such a joke. Now, I know there are lots of ladies out there who love the idea of this, the glamour. And as a kid, I look forward to these pageants from time to time. As I got older, I thought, what a joke. Who just determines that this girl represents America and then goes on to Miss Universe to represent the universe or the world, or, because it's obviously just a world thing because we don't have Martians and aliens coming in to participate in Miss Universe. But so as I got older, I thought, this is kind of a joke. But there's an industry around this. And so we get this girl, a young girl, in her 20s, early 20s, and she is the person who's going to represent us. Let me tell you something. If I found somebody who was going to represent us as an American woman, she'd certainly be over 30. And she'd be hot. And she'd be probably a Midwestern woman raising a family. The Mrs. Universe or Mrs. America pageant, that represents America to me. Not some young girl, at the beginning of life where they stick a microphone in their face and go, "What do you think about North Korea?" Seriously. And I'm not trying to degrade the opinions of the millennials, but no offense, these kids aren't smart enough to think their way out of a paper bag. And I was in a meeting with millennials a couple days ago, and I said to them, when I said, "What's up, millennials?" and they go, "Oh," and I go, no, I'd put you guys in a separate category because these are right-leaning millennials. These are the kids I'm happy to turn over America to. But the Miss America and people like that, these pageant girls, look, I get it. We want to see beauty at a young age and all that. But honestly, these girls are so fake. They got fake lashes, fake boobs, fake this. And, oh, no. Remember the controversy? What was it one year? You guys are too young. Don't even try to think about it. But there was controversy where one girl didn't have her real boobs or something. I'm thinking, really? Maybe there was a time when Miss America had to be natural, couldn't have liposuction and all that. Wouldn't that be interesting to have a Miss America pageant where they say you have to be 100% natural versus the made up? And so it's like the bodybuilders. They have the natural bodybuilders and then they have those that they know are just ripped with steroids. So you'd have two visions of America. And quite frankly, it would almost be like looking at conservatism versus leftism. Leftism has to give itself an advantage. You got to get the new butt. You got to get lipo. You got to get the breast augmented. You got to get the, tummy tuck and blah, blah, blah. And then you got the good old fashioned girl that says, this is it. And by the way, I'll take the good old fashioned girl. Now, that's not to say that for you ladies that go out there, you're dyeing your hair, you're making yourself look good for your guy. Love it. We love it. We love it. But we also love it when you can be comfortable in your natural, So, be good with that. Anyway, that's not the whole reason for this discussion. The discussion was more around Miss North Dakota, crowned Miss America, because she answered the question about climate change. And they called it a complex question that she answered in 20 seconds, where she slammed the president's decision to pull out of the Paris Agreement. Because we all know 20-something-year-old girls certainly know more about, the science of climate and all these other things than any guy would. It was mind-boggling. 195 countries signed the Paris Agreement, in which each country set non-binding goals to reduce man-made climate change. The U.S. is withdrawing from the agreement, citing negligible environmental effects and negative economic impact. Good decision, bad decision, which is it and why? I do believe it's a bad decision. Her name is Mund. I don't know her first name. Something Mund. Kara Mund. And Maria Menounos was the judge who asked her. And she says, once we reject that, we take ourselves out of the negotiation table. And that's something that we really need to keep in mind. There's evidence that climate change is existing. So whether you believe it or not, we need to be at that table. And I think it's just a bad decision on behalf of the United States. It's some bad English you've been using there, girl. I ain't going to correct it, but some bad talk. And, I know these girls are under the gun, and they're young. They don't necessarily know how to think on their feet. But come on. How about, what? I realize that those are the types of questions they love to ask Miss Americas. But you know what? We have people who have been put in charge of the country, duly elected. And whether we agree or we disagree, we do need to at least back the people that we put into leadership. And I would not want to disrespect the people who voted for President Trump by giving my opinion on something like this. Something like that. And again, I get it. I get the issue. That's not the answer to the question. But what's so cold to me is she answers the question, and another girl who I think disagreed. This is what one of my researchers was telling me. So I'm going from just hearsay. I mean, a conversation I had with Miranda. But she says the girl who answered the question pro-Trump loses. The girl who answers the question anti-Trump, she wins. Now, I didn't watch the pageant. I doubt many of you did either. But it bugs me that we give these, it's a Miss America contest, and we can't even back our president in a Miss America contest. That should have disqualified the chick. This is Kevin Jackson's opinion. Yeah, I would have said the trick to the answer would be, if you don't back the president's play, how can we make you Miss America, fool? But they give it to her. That's what's so shocking. Mund, 23-year-old girl, Brown University graduate with dreams to be the first woman governor of North Dakota. God forbid. First Miss America winner from the state in the pageant's history. Washington Post says she'll get a 6-figure salary for the next year, and then she goes to Notre Dame for law school, where she can apply her $50,000 scholarship winnings from the pageant. Congratulations to her. Build your career over nonsense of climate change, because you know why? She knew the lefty answer. She knew what they wanted to hear. The judge asked the question, and I'm sure these people know who the judge is. I don't know who this judge is. I don't know who Maria Menounos is, but I can almost guarantee you she's a lefty. Anyway, we got a lot more to talk about. Keep it here.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
The previous administration saw a connection between climate change and homeland security, and that the frequency and intensity of powerful storms like Harvey and Irma could pose a problem for future administrations. You could have FEMA budgets that can't keep up with the demand when you have powerful storms hitting the country. Is that something that you think this administration should take a look at? We know the president pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord. Are these storms giving this administration some pause when it comes to the issue of climate change and homeland security?
I was here in the 2004 cycle of hurricanes, 4 and 6 weeks that hit Florida. I think what's prudent for us right now is to make sure that those response capabilities are there. Causality is something outside of my ability to analyze right now. I will tell you that we continue to take seriously the climate change, not the cause of it, but the things that we observe. And so there's a rising I think 1 inch every 10 years in Tampa, things that would require prudent mitigation measures. And what I said from the podium the other day and what President Trump remains committed to is making sure that federal dollars aren't used to rebuild things that will be in harm's way later or that won't be hardened against the future predictable floods that we see. And that has to do with engineering analysis and changing conditions along eroding shorelines, but also in inland water and flood control projects. So,
welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson. That was a great answer by guy, he's part of the Homeland Security, Rosser. He was doing a press conference on the hurricanes, and of course, Acosta from CNN says, "Oh, we pulled out of the climate accord, and that's the reason why we're having all these hurricanes." These lefties won't let up. And I love what Acosta said. The guy's the frequency and intensity of hurricanes. And he goes, "What does it cause them to put? Does it cause them to put a pause on their assessment of climate change? Hurricane season." And the guy comes back, "I was here during the 2004 cycle. Why weren't you asking it?" Their excuse would be, "Well, Barack Obama was taking care of it." Well, if there was climate, if you could do something about climate change and we're doing it, why did we have that cycle in 2004? And I'm going to make a prediction, people. We're going to have hurricanes next year around this time. I know. Kevin, I'm out there on a limb. My producers are good. Like, what? Yes. Settle down, fellas. We won't get fired over this prediction. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm going to predict that we will have hurricanes next year within a month of this time frame. And I don't know. What do I want to go out on a limb on how many? I will go out on a limb. There'll be 2 hurricanes relatively back to back. I don't know if I want to go as far as how many letters will go out. Because right now we're at Jose, or do we have a Karen yet? So we got through J. Where we at? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. So 26 letters in the alphabet. We're up to 10. Now, I don't know how big of a season that is. Maybe one of you guys could research that and get back with me. But I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to go out on that flimsy limb where people probably don't want to go out there with me. But I'm going to bet that somewhere in the Atlantic, there will be a hurricane or 2 that come our way next year. They may not get as far as we need them to or whatever. God, let's pray for that. But there will be some hurricanes forming in the Atlantic. I'm just putting that out there. Yeah. So I love this guy. He says, I don't know what the causality is. He says, but what we will do, what we will address are the things that we observe. So we'll look at the things that can help to mitigate what happens in hurricanes. But there's only so much you can do. Here is the problem with living at the beach, okay? Let's just go ahead and put this out there. Seems like we need some tough love. If you live at the beach, you're going to deal with hurricanes. Maybe not this. I predict some next year too. But who knows, right? Lord knows we've figured out there's a hurricane season. He says, we want to make sure, Rosser says, we want to make sure, and I think this is prudent. We want to make sure federal dollars are not used to build things that are going to be in harm's way again. Let me tell you what insurance companies do. They say, if you're in a flood zone, we will not cover you. You have to get flood insurance. And in certain instances, we're not covering you anyway. It's your risk. So if you live on the beach, I guarantee, I don't know much about insurance. I've never been in the insurance business. They've been my clients. But I know this, the actuaries, the guys who figure out how often something occurs and how they're going to make money. So they're going, I don't care if Hurricane Hugo cost $3 billion. We made $3.5 billion in insurance costs. Their job is to mitigate the risk and make sure that they are bringing in more money than the damage that gets done. And these guys want, hurricane season to be short. They don't want hurricanes hitting. They've bet against them. All right? So, but you can be guaranteed these guys are not going to let you take advantage of them like, oh, I'm going to have a beach house. Oh, well, hey, your hurricane insurance will be $1 a year. No, you're going to pay. Because they're going back looking at data. And look, here's the beauty of data. In this case, the better they are in analyzing it, the more that they can predict it, the better that, they can keep the costs down. Because if you got to, lick your finger and put it up in the wind to go, when's the next hurricane going to hit? I got to put a lot of money. It's going to cost you $10,000 a year. I don't know what hurricane insurance costs, but I know you need it. Anyway, I want to play this next clip. Let's get that clip going, because the guy goes on to really give an amazing answer. I mean, this is the complete answer now in terms of climate change, because Jim Acosta won't let up.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, when you see 3 Category 4 hurricanes all on the same map at the same time, does the thought occur to you, geez, maybe there is something to this climate change thing and its connection to powerful hurricanes? Where you just separate the two and say, boy, these are a lot of big hurricanes coming our way?
Well, I don't know if I say either, but I do note that there's a cyclical nature to a lot of these hurricane seasons, and I think the scientists, for their forecast on this particular one, they were dead on that this would be a stronger and more powerful hurricane season with slightly more than average large storms making landfall in the United States. So we'll have to do a larger trend analysis at a later date.
Welcome back, everybody. I think the guy's name is Prosser, not Rosser. Either way, whether it's Prosser or Rosser, he's Homeland Security. He's talking about the hurricanes to Acosta on CNN, who is a climate change guy, a lefty. You can spot these guys, easily. And don't misunderstand me. I had a couple of conservatives talk to me. Kevin, you gotta, lighten up on climate change. I mean, it's real. And no, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's weather. And I can tell you this, as God is my witness, there is nothing that we did that impacted what hurricanes were going to hit the coast of Texas or Florida. Nothing. There are people, Kevin, the government can create weather. Okay, fine. It can do whatever it wants to do. But I'm telling you, if you think the government can create a system the size of Irma, you're wrong. You're a conspiracy theorist. Government isn't going to play God with weather. I'm not telling you they can't seed the clouds and make some rain, but the weather's going to do what it does, because the earth is going to essentially absorb whatever we do, no matter how big it is we think we are. It will absorb it. And I know that may have, make some people mad. I don't really care. I'm telling you, we are dealing with weather. And can it be manipulated a bit? Absolutely. There are people that, like I said, what was it? There's something they said they can create an earthquake. Possibly. But trust me, nature's earthquake is a lot bigger than man's. So I love the way this guy comes back, because Acosta says 3 Cat 4 hurricanes and, at the same time. Is there a connection? Well, no. The connection is Earth decided to create 3 Cat 4 hurricanes. That's the connection. That's how big nature, a.k.a. God, is. And then Prosser comes back and talks about the cyclical nature of hurricanes. Exactly right. And I'm joking when I talk about, next year I think we might have a hurricane season. Next year, I'm going to go out on another limb. Oh, yeah. Next year, there's going to be throughout the South a few tornadoes. No. Don't try to talk me out of this. There are going to be a few tornadoes that'll go from Texas, and they'll hit Oklahoma, and they'll hit Kansas, and Alabama, Georgia, maybe Mississippi, maybe Tennessee. And I know it's hard to believe, but and possibly Missouri. There's going to be a tornado season. I don't know how many, but you can expect a few. You know what? There are going to be lightning storms in Florida. Yeah, I know. Big thunderstorms, torrential rainstorms are going to hit Florida and Texas at some point. And there'll be a few sprinkled throughout the rest of the nation. And one other quick point. There will be a drought in the Sahara Desert.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. 844-551-8255. If you want to contact me, call the show. Whatever, we'd love to hear from you. Or kjradio.com if you want to leave me a note. And I tell you what, my schedule's picking up. I'm proud to say people want me speaking places and going places. And of course, there's lots of turmoil going on at Fox. One of the people that employs me to a degree. I mean, I'm a Fox News contributor, and people are asking me all the time, Kevin, now to give you a show. Look, I agree that there are things that I say that are interesting. Could it be enough to carry a show? I think so, with the right producers and things like that. I believe I could handle it, but I don't really care. I mean, I wish I could tell you guys that I'm all gung-ho for it, because if I were, I'd probably have one. Because I'd be up there going, hey, Suzanne, listen, I could do this, blah, and I'd be, crafting stuff. I've had meetings with them, but I've said, here are a couple of ideas. And if you choose somebody else to do those shows, fantastic, good for you. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see how it shakes out. I was talking about what would you take in a storm? How do you define yourself? And I think that's politically, we should be, not just politically, politics help with that, but I really do struggle with this because I believe we're so multidimensional as people, and I think that politics has this tendency to pit one against the other. You can be having a great conversation with somebody about life in general, maybe some shared thing. You both climbed Machu Picchu or something, and then suddenly the subject of Trump comes up and you can do a quick divide. And I find that fascinating because I personally don't really care about a person's politics. I think that I may find you politically curious, or I should say my curiosity about you from your politics could be heightened, but and I may even think that, wow, that's just a crazy way to think. But it isn't going to take away our joint adventure in Peru, or something like that. I'm going to go. I had a friend. She ended up marrying one of the DuPont family members, and we didn't even know this guy was a super wealthy dude. But we were hiking through Peru, and I know she's a stone cold lefty. I mean, that's my feeling about her. We never talked politics, thankfully, but I liked her. She was just a nice girl, and I would keep up with her. I met her in the Bahamas years ago. Me and a girl I dated. I'm talking about a lot of years ago. We're in the Bahamas, and we meet these group of people randomly at a bar. And 3 or 4 of us kept in touch. And I was one day we were communicating. She said, "Hey, Kevin, we're going to be backpacking through Peru. You want to come?" And I can't for a month. I can't come for a month, but I'll join you guys for a couple of weeks. So I go and go backpacking with him, and that was when she mentioned she had found this new guy. I was like, oh, I can't wait to meet him, that kind of thing. So we go. Turns out he's a DuPont guy. He's a very wealthy guy. She didn't even know it when they met. And by the way, just for the record, she's not an overly attractive girl, and she's but she's outdoorsy, and she's just got a great spirit about her. But she was, my gut feel is she was totally lefty, but there was something about her that was likable. And I was so overjoyed that she met this guy, and he turns out he's like a super wealthy guy. He was no Chippendale dancer himself, but they were a great couple. But it warms my heart to think about her, but not in terms of her politics. She's probably a little weird when it comes to politics, or maybe was apolitical. And it doesn't seem like we have these relationships anymore with people where we can just enjoy each other, because we got to figure out, are you for Trump or were you for Obama? And quite frankly, I don't care. If you were for Obama, congratulations. But don't act like the guy was the second coming of Christ, because he wasn't. And don't expect me to be all, oh my gosh, I love me some Obama, because that's what people expect when they tell you they liked Obama. Fine, you liked Obama. I got nothing against you, but I don't have to like him any more than I have to like the food choices you make. Anyway, funny stuff going on, and I know I'm dragging things out, but I'm in an interesting mood today, so bear with me. You may not like me today, but so there's a girl who died in a refrigerator. Should we play that clip? And look, I'm only playing this clip because of what the mom said and how she views the cops. But let's play the clip.
They refused my family to see her. They said only you and your daughter can see it, and you can't take pictures because this is a crime scene.
And this is still in the deep freezer?
This in the deep freezer, but they had, at this time, they had let the morgue take her, move her, defrost the freezer. Right. Her hair had soap and water up on it. Yeah. She was defrosted in the freezer. They defrost the whole freezer. Yeah. I guess that's what it gave you, 4 hours, right? Yeah. But I asked her, can I see my daughter? Yeah. Why I can't see how she died? Why I can't see? Because I know in the deep freezer, I know at my job, you had to pull open. Now remind you can't even hold your balance.
Yeah,
walking.
Right.
So now you got to struggle, and at my job with our coolers, you got to have some strength to yank these doors open. Yeah. Now remind you, they said she couldn't barely hold herself up, yet alone pull open the door. Right. And they said, the police department said, freak accidents like that do happen.
So they're saying
and they said they didn't see her. And it's a camera sitting right in front of the cooler. They didn't see how she got in there.
Welcome back, everybody. That's a tragedy. 19-year-old girl. She's a beautiful girl. And she's going to a party, right? I mean, that's what they said. She was at a party. And suddenly she's dead. Rosemont Hotel, Chicago, Illinois. Now, the reason why I played the clip was if you listen to that mother, it's the nuance of what she says. It isn't what she's saying. It's the nuance. So just going back a couple things, comments that she made. She said something along the lines of freak accident. The police say these types of freak accidents occur. She says there's a camera. Okay, you let them look at it. But what gets me is people that don't understand procedure. They say they refuse my family to see a daughter. They aren't refusing her family to see her daughter. First of all, you might not want to see. Be careful what you wish for when you say, I got to see the body, because it's an image you may never get out of your mind. But then she says they had to defrost the whole freezer. They had a person died in it. Yeah, they're going to, who wants to know, hey, my meat was just hanging in a place where somebody died for whatever reason. I don't. And then the mom's constantly talking about this deep freeze at her job. I don't know what she does for a living, but she's describing the deep freeze at her job. And she's saying, if I see the deep freeze, I'll know if my daughter could get in or out. Look, I'll be honest with you. We had a deep freeze at the lodge where my grandparents worked. I would always make sure I'm not getting locked in here. And that had a push thing where you could open it up. But I was like, I don't even play. I remember hearing about kids dying in refrigerators and stuff like that. I don't even play. But here's my final point. The lady implies that the police are trying to hide something from her. It's a black lady. They're not. And that's what struck me as a little bit strange. The police are not trying to hide anything from her. And you get the sense of it. And for the record, the police didn't kill her daughter. And there's this undercurrent that the system is against me. They don't want to show me. No, let me tell you, the police want to solve this. If it's a crime, let's solve it as a crime. There's no cover up. This woman is almost of the opinion that this is a cover up. I mean, I go back, I look at what she was saying. Refuse my family. No, they didn't. If you listen closely, she says they didn't want her grandmother, my uncle, whatever. But they let me and her sister, which would be her daughter, see her. Okay. What is it? This is not the funeral line. Look, I'm not. This part of it I find rather pedestrian in the sense that, we're just having a conversation about a girl that died. But at the end of the day, why is it that it has to be a conspiracy? And this is what my problem with black folks on the left is, and I'm not mad at her, but she, I watch a lot of cop shows. You got to let these folks do their job. And you can't just immediately go to the conspiracy theory, because I guarantee you the cops had nothing to do with their daughter's death. If anybody did, it was probably some jealous girl that she knew from the party. And that, to me, would be the real tragedy. I don't know where this is going to shake out. I bet some of you are going, yeah, you know what, Kevin? It could have been Yes. I tell my sons, I used to grow with my older boys, I'd say, guys, look, no offense, don't trust your buddies with their, gags and things like that. You'll be killed. You could easily be killed in a gag or some kind of a, crazy thing college kids do. Don't do it.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Crazy world today. Welcome everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Silly world. I'm telling you, I get up every morning, I start assimilating the news, and I think to myself, how did we get here? I mean, just so many crazy things going on. Betsy DeVos, for example, is undoing some rape things on college campuses. I don't know exactly what, but it's like how you define sexual assault. And if you guys remember, you practically have to sign a prenup to date somebody on college campuses, because we've gotten so far out there. And college campuses are their own world. So, we have that we're dealing with. We have now, and I think this is hysterical, San Diego's washing its sidewalks, hosing down with hazmat because there's been an outbreak of hepatitis. San Diego's God's country, man. It's a beautiful place. But apparently vagrants and people like that have created a health hazard out there. We've got the Menendez corruption trial where people are taught, the left wants you to believe this dude is a Republican. He's a Democrat who's under corruption charges. And it's more salacious than any made-for-TV movie you've probably ever seen. What are we not talking about? We're not talking about our robust economy. The stock market, I don't know. Look, I'm not a stock market guy that goes, I'm just going to brag about it when it goes up and not talk about it when it goes down. The stock market's doing well. One of my friends, David Fisher of Landmark Capital, I went in and met with him the other day, and David said he thinks the stock market will, it's had its big surge and it's going to freeze. But we were talking about gold because he's used to be one of my advertisers. A long story why we can't have him on, but we're still good friends. And he would advertise on the show. We just can't. We have a contractual thing that we can't do because of the network. But long story short, had a conversation with him. He says his business is through the roof. He said August was his best month in history, and September he's already nearly eclipsed August. So something is afoot in the economic, areas of financial markets. I'm not exactly sure. We chatted about it a bit. But anyway, strange times in all these different ways, but we're not talking about the economy and how good it is. I told you guys I flew with this woman who's an obvious leftist. She admitted it and thought I was as well. That's why she talks so openly to me, because she's a white woman, one of these hipsters. She's 61, but you could still see that 60s vibe in her, if you know what I'm talking about. And she's a professor. And So she was telling me about, I was telling her about the economy and the jobs that had been created under Trump, and it blew her mind. But we're not talking about that. We're not talking about the fact that North Korea, empowered by Bill Clinton, is making nuclear bombs, and we put more sanctions against them. Congratulations. People are talking about Kim Jong-un being a madman, how we essentially got rid of our Strategic Defense Initiative under Reagan, which was named Star Wars by Ted Kennedy because he wanted to give it a bad name. And Star Wars is protecting America. And that every single Democrat, and particularly Barack Obama, wanted to dismantle our Strategic Defense Initiative, which is essentially our ability to shoot down missiles when they are fired from anywhere. So luckily it didn't get ruined because, believe it or not, George Bush is the one who said, let's keep it going. Let's make sure we still have some of this. He got out of the talks that said, we will no longer allow ourselves to protect ourselves. Can you imagine we signed a treaty with the UN that said, we're not going to build something that can protect us? And Democrat presidents like Barack Obama go, I can agree with that. We shouldn't be protecting Americans. What are you talking about, man? I'm going to have a gauntlet. I'm going to put a big protective bowl around America, and so that you can do nothing to us. And what do they think that's going to do? It's going to be unfair to the rest of the world. Let me tell you something. Nobody's trying to bomb Kenya or Chad. That nobody cares. But you know who do have missiles facing us? North Korea, China, Russia. They have missiles pointed at us. So for us to say we're going to not put it in the defense system because it'll make the rest of the world uncomfortable is ridiculous to me. What do these people think? But we're not talking about the fact that this knucklehead, Kim Jong-un, could, just say, you know what, to heck with it. I'll make them go. I'll fire a missile in New York, Chicago, one of our big cities, and dare us to do something. What are we going to do? Okay, so I'll give you an example. Let's just play this out. What would happen if Kim Jong-un had fired a missile at the United States under Barack Obama? Let me tell you what would have happened. Barack Obama would have wanted to talk it out. You fire a missile at the United States under Trump, we obliterate you. Now, the discussion is, will we really do that? What will be the world's reaction? And would we really trade one for the other? What happens if North Korea decides to fire that missile at South Korea? What happens then? There's all kinds of scenarios. And we've always believed that because people know we have so many more missiles, we will wipe you out, that was the reason we only, that we don't worry about these other little countries. We have more missiles. And keep in mind, Barack Obama wanted to get rid of our nuclear. He wants a world without nukes. As you think about Kim Jong-un, just remember that. What about Russia? What's going on with Russia? We normalizing relations? No, we're normalizing relations with Cuba. That has zero impact on the world. But we won't normalize relationships with Russia because we've got all the controversy around Hillary Clinton, blah, blah, blah. And Hillary Clinton's back in the news. They want her to go. Hillary says, I ain't going. Let me tell you what may happen. Hillary may make the left so mad that they finally start giving us the real information about her and just make her go away. You know what Hillary's leverage over them is? I know so much dirt on all of you fools that you can't make me go away. That's how bad it is on the left. They can't force that chick to go away. There's also news in Medicare and Medicaid. The 4 top presidential candidates for the left all want Obamacare gone. Not hearing a whole lot about that either. Anyway, good hour coming up. I hope you enjoyed. Listen to the Kevin Jackson Show.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. I watched this movie. I was going to get on a plane. Anytime I'm going to fly more than 3 hours, I'm going to download some stuff. And so I watched this movie, download this movie called War Machine. It's got Brad Pitt in it. And I didn't know that. I just, I read the trailer for it. Talked about America's war in Afghanistan, and I thought, okay, I'll check it out. And it was interesting. I wouldn't recommend the movie at all. It's leftist drivel. But in a strange way, it essentially beats up Barack Obama. And rightfully so. And I'll read you a little clip of what the guy wrote about the movie, and I'll give you my take. But he says, American movies are traditionally of two minds about our military might, celebrating it in John Wayne epics and mocking it in everything from MASH to Dr. Strangelove. But War Machine has decided, with exceptional results, that it wants it both ways. It wasn't exceptional results. The movie is not worth watching, but I gleaned out something from it that I want to share with you. Anyway, it goes on. Starring Brad Pitt and written and directed by the gifted David Michaud, War Machine is, on the one hand, an assured, nervy black satire on America's involvement in Afghanistan, and on one particular soldier, commander of the U.S. forces and 4-star General Glenn McMahon, a.k.a. Big Glenn or Glenimal. Now, from what I've gleaned out of this, he's McChrystal, General McChrystal. Okay? And because I was trying to figure out who the heck is General McMahon. And so it's a play on what was really happening during the Obama administration. So let me give you some ideas. Right now we can't fire, at least under Obama, we couldn't fire. When engaged, we had fake bullets. Our soldiers were given fake bullets or had no bullets. So they're standing guard on the line in many places in these forward territories, forward environments, and they go, well, we don't have any bullets. And if you fired, you better have a good reason, boy, or else you were in big trouble. So it was a war that we were never meant to win. And that's what these guys are saying. It becomes a love initiative, like this guy McMahon, who's played by Brad Pitt, would say, okay, so we've got 8 insurgents and you killed 2. How many are left? And they go, Nobody wants to answer. And he goes, well, all right, you do the math. I mean, you have 8. And he goes, but that's not really the case. You have 8 insurgents. You kill 2. You have 20. 8 minus 2 equals 20. Now I remember that scene vividly, except I think he did 3. But it doesn't matter. The number doesn't matter. His point is, if you kill an insurgent, then they're going to go out and get their friends. They're going to come back and they're going to double their forces. And so you haven't really killed anybody. So we shouldn't kill them. And this one black dude is going, he's like, so man, what y'all want us to do? And you got to see the scene. I mean, I don't want you to even watch the film because it's not worth it. But the scene is essentially McChrystal, or McMahon, who's really McChrystal, saying to these guys, don't engage them. What they called it, you'll get a medal. Get this, you'll get a medal for not shooting, for showing restraint. They called it combat restraint medal. Now, I don't know if that really exists because, I didn't look it up. But I would not be surprised if Barack Obama gave the military a medal for not doing what the military does. And I find it incredible that now with some of this mocking, and they had a scene where McMahon has to meet Obama. He's coming in on a plane and they're going to have a conversation about how things are going in Afghanistan. And all Obama does is go, General, we ran out of time. I got to get this bird up in the air. So we'll have to catch up another time. And that was it. And the orchestration of the general changing his schedule in order to go meet Obama for a quick, what turned out to be nothing more than a photo op, was unbelievable. And so here's where I come back to, I think the guy was in one way mocking Barack Obama to say he took Afghanistan so seriously that the general he put in charge of it, he could not even spend 5 minutes with the guy after telling the general, change all your schedule, come meet with me. He does a quick on the tarmac photo op where Barack Obama met with, shook everybody's hand, came up to the general, said, General, so sorry. Got to get this bird up in there. We'll talk again soon. And then the next time they talked, he was fired. Now, again, I don't know how closely this mirrors the real thing. But essentially what they said, one of the interviews in Rolling Stone was, so you're in charge of all of the military in Afghanistan. Yeah. How many times have you talked to the president? And the general goes, he says, you've only talked to the president like one time. And he goes, yeah. And he's going, how could you possibly be waging a war effort and you've only talked to the commander-in-chief one time? And he's like, well, I don't know. He's busy. Now, they didn't make the Brad Pitt guy to be the buffoon there. They really were saying, Barack Obama doesn't take this seriously. How are you going to take it seriously? How are you going to do your job? Oh, and one of the other things that they did, and you guys may be saying, Kevin, why are you talking about War Machine? I'm talking about War Machine because I'm telling you how this previous administration, perceived or otherwise, handled this so-called war. And what I hope is to be the difference with Trump. But they set it up where they said they fired one general, and then they showed General McMahon taking over, and it was General Whelan who was replaced. And essentially, and just as a deal breaker, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm going to steal the scene from it. The very end, they fire McMahon and replace him with Bob. And the guy, I think he intentionally just said with Bob. They didn't tell you the general's name. And you see Russell Crowe in fatigues marching down the airport the same way that other general started the show when they replaced General Whelan. And what they were saying is it's a cycle of guys who are very competent who are not being allowed to do their jobs because of an incompetent Barack Obama, and it's going to be the same result. And that's what I got out of it. And that's why I wanted to share it with you, because I'm out of my wheelhouse when we start asking ourselves, why are we doing this over there or whatever? But I'll tell you this, I trust generals to go make it happen and get it done more than I trust a commander-in-chief like Barack Obama. And I watched that show with, honestly, I didn't even know what to expect. But I watched that and went, now I'm beginning to get it. And if you do watch it for that reason and that reason only, because I'm telling you, other than trying to make the military out to be a bunch of drunks that travel around country looking for war, I think it really shed some light on what's going on, what happened in the Obama administration.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Hello, it's me, Vicente Fox, with another message for last year's rotting Halloween pumpkin. Donald, every time I make fun of you, which I do a lot, people say, why can't you be our president? America, I feel your pain. We all do. And that is why today I'm proud to announce my candidacy for President of the United States.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Kevin Jackson. Jacksones. Bienvenidos. That was Vicente Fox. Vicente Fox, not Vincente. Vicente Fox. I want to be the president of the United States. Yeah, and Barack Obama wants to be the Julio Iglesias of Colombia. Or where's Julio from? To all the girls I loved before, who traveled in and out my door. I'm glad they came along. I dedicate this song to all the girls I loved before. I like Vicente Fox says, I make fun of you. For Donald Trump, I make fun of you. Fun? I make fun of you? What? Did you mold him into a telephone, Vicente? I make fun. I make fun of you. Every time I make fun of you, people say to me, why can't you be our president? And I say to them, I feel your pain. I love the way he calls the United States the United States. The United States. There's no A after United. It's United States. How tough is that, Vicente or Vicente, whatever the heck your name is? Vicente Foxa? How tough is that? Who do you think you're, an Italian? Vicente Fox, I think he ran Coca-Cola. I'm just telling you guys, these people that are put in charge, that people, if you've listened to Vicente Fox before, you might actually have respect for him. You know, he's an articulate dude, right? When he was a CEO of a company, and quite frankly, I don't know how you can be the CEO of a company and be a leftist. I don't know how that jives. But Vicente Fox wants us to believe that Donald Trump's an idiot. Why? Because he won't allow Mexicans to just run over the border and essentially trespass in America. That's his issue. You take that out, Vicente Fox is talking about Donald Trump like he's the next thing, best thing since sliced bread. These one-trick ponies crack me up. And now I'm not going to rehash DACA, whatever you want to call it, because we've talked about it ad nauseum. There is no reason on God's green earth that we should be talking about 800,000 kids who are dreamers over the millions of kids who are who've lost their dreams in America. There's no you can't convince me of that. Do I feel for those kids whose parents brought them over and they have no clue? I do. Feel for them. But the parents knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly what that child was going to face. And now they depend on the compassion of America. The very same compassion that allows black kids to be thugs growing up and doesn't have a concern in the world about these kids. Not in reality. This is It's not a forgotten generation. It's a indoctrinated generation of young black kids that feel like the only way out for them is thuggery. Can't say anything about it either. People get all upset. I don't know. I take it personally because, of course my kids avoided it because they had good parents, but I take it personally because I know the game that people tried to play on me as a kid. And I can't for the life of me, I've tried in my books to pinpoint why I didn't go for it. I think I captured it pretty well in my first book because that was the closest thing to an autobiography that I would have written. And I look at how I recognize these things that were being done, but I will tell you this, they don't teach you how to recognize this stuff. It's pretty sad. There's a psychological experiment that was apparently, I don't know if it was psychological, but that's probably not the right way to put it. But Stanford University researchers say that artificial intelligence can deduce sexual orientation by analyzing subtle differences in face structure. So let me put it a different way. A robot can watch you and determine if you're gay or straight. And I found this story fascinating. So here's what it says. The scientists who plan to publish their findings in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, who knew that even existed, right? Reportedly downloaded more than 130,000 pictures of men and women from an American online dating site to use as part of the experiment. The profile pictures were public, as were the users' sexual orientations. They then utilized a combination of facial detection technology and a predictive statistical model to teach the machine to determine which faces belong to gay and straight people. Now, I'm telling you, this is a can of worms. Because you might have a picture where you're straight and you might have a picture where you're kind of gay. I've taken pictures where I guarantee you I was like, where I was intentionally trying to look gay. I wouldn't use it on a profile, but I'm just saying the pictures are out there. So this idea that a machine will go, there's straight Kevin, there's gay Kevin. I'm just saying, a can of worms. You boys, you youngsters, man, y'all are going to grow up in a world that I don't even know how to deal with this world. A machine. You're gay or you're straight. It reminds me of Maury. Remember those Maury shows where you had to pick the transsexual? And I'll be blunt. I missed it more than I got it right. So it might be some girl, like they would have 10 women and half of them were gay and half of them, I'm not gay. Half of them were transsexuals. Half of them were real women. And I'm telling you, I would guess that the real women were transsexuals, say 2 out of the 5 times. And I would guess that the transsexuals were women, were real women, say 3 out of 5 times. I was so wrong. It was scary wrong. You have to, when you get it as wrong as I would get it on Maury, you would have to check yourself. You'd be like, man, what happened to me? And so I started looking at people differently. It impacted me in ways I cannot describe. I look at people, I will look at a woman and go, I can see what she would look like as a man. That's how I would start looking at people. Or I'd see a dude and go, I could see how if they softened his features, he would be a girl. Just like jacking with your mind. But yeah, so anyway, they say the machine was able to distinguish a gay man from a straight man 81% of the time. While that number dipped to 71% accuracy for gay and straight women. See, women, you are more confusing even to the analytical mind of a computer. It says using the same photos, regular people could only distinguish men 61% of the time. I'm going to tell you why I think that is in a second. And 54% of the time for women. And here's why. we assume as human beings that people are not gay. So we automatically look, this is my opinion, we automatically look for them not to be gay. So a guy who's good looking guy, you just go, he's a good looking guy. But nowadays, good looking guy, gay. You don't even, and present company accepted. Okay. But you have this tendency to go, is a good looking guy? He's probably, he's gay. He gets the checks. Yeah, but gets a lot of attention from the dudes. And with women, I don't know what it is. We just don't assume women to be gay. We figure like, oh man, she's hot. She's definitely going to be for guys. Let me tell you, I learned the hard way that, I don't mean that in a sexual connotation, but I learned that with women, if you see a very beautiful woman who's around a bunch of other beautiful women, do not assume, unless these women are all wearing married, wedding bands, and I'm not talking about bands, I'm talking about fat rocks. Pretty soon, let me put it a different way, you're going to distinguish women because she's got a fat rock or a string tied around her finger. So she's got a string tied around her finger, she's married to a chick. She's with a chick, not married, but she's with a chick. She's got a fat stone, then she's with a dude. Because a dude wants to make sure, ooh, look at the bling. So that's been the barometer, because I don't look at two women or two guys anymore and go, they're just buddies out for had met up and hadn't seen each other in a while. No, I think differently now. This is a strange research project.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here for the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. Just telling you guys there's a machine that can detect your gaiety. I wonder if gaiety has like a scale. Like if you're 49% gay, I don't know if that's even possible, but let's say you're 49% gay, because you could be Q. You could be questioning. And would the machine go, no, he's 51% gay? I mean, not gay. I don't know. Because they claim that there's a gay person in all of us. Given enough time on a desert island, two guys would hook up or two girls would hook up. I don't know. I don't believe that, because I know I wouldn't. I'm just saying, I'd rather date a coconut. I'm not going to hook up with some dude under any circumstances. And you could rationalize it, whatever, but I'm just all dude. That's all there is to it. Anyway, the best gaydar I've ever seen is my sister. You'll be going somewhere, she'll go, gay, he gay. He's gay. I'm telling you, Kev, he's gay. You find out, 3 weeks later, a year later, dude is gay. Girl is gay. She'll call it. She gay. She's a lesbian. And I'm like, how do you know? I'm telling you, she's a lesbian. And she'll do it on TV. She don't even know the star. They'll be doing an interview or even sometimes in a role. And she'll go, that dude is gay. And you go, no, he's not. He's married. He's gay. And then you find out later, bisexual, gay, whatever. So she's good at it. Maybe she should go up against the machine. It should be like when IBM played that machine, they had the machine that played chess against Kasparov or something. That's what she should do. Go up against the machine that picks gays or whatever. Hey, we had let me just say this as a preface. One of my social media guys posted the Ted Cruz porno thing, which I completely believe he was hacked. I don't think Cruz is stupid enough to be putting porn on his Twitter feed and liking it. But one of my social media people posted it, and I was getting a lot of feedback. Kevin, you ain't doing posting all this stuff. I'm not going to follow you. First of all, I got after him and said, don't post that crap on my site. I don't care about Ted Cruz and his porn. It would be like, somebody going, oh my gosh, well, I can't believe he's looking at porn. So him and 80% of the America, I don't know what percentage, but a big percentage of American has looked at porn. So don't act like that's such a big deal that if he is, which I personally don't, I think it would be out of character, but I don't care. I'm not into porn. Not. Really never have been, but have I seen it? Yes. Has most of this audience seen it? Yes. Well, let's just grow up here for a second, people, and not act as if, oh my gosh, there's porn. So somebody says to me, two people wrote me a letter, messages on my site. Kevin, I can't believe that you're posting this stuff, and I'm going to have to leave you and all that. Then go. Don't warn me that you're going. Go. I don't care. Mr. and Mrs. Sanctimonious out there. Well, if you're going to post that on your site, then I'm going to disregard every other thing you've said, and I'll be gone. Then go. Freaking go. It just irritates me. You got to announce it because you think you're such a big deal. Let me explain something to you. If you go, I don't care. And radio people get mad at me. Big names. Kevin, you can't tell your audience that it'll offend them. Then get offended. Because let me tell you something. This is life. You love 99.999% of the crap I say, but one little thing offends you, by the way, that I didn't even do. And you don't give me the benefit of the doubt. Freaking go. If that's the type of person you are, I don't want you in my life. And you should feel the same. The conservative movement is built on spineless chumps like that. Oh, you did something that offended me. I'm going to go. Where are you going to go? You going to go to the left? Where they talk openly and all the time about porn and want to teach it to your kids? Freaking go, you bunch of spineless jellyfish, do nothing, ne'er-do-wells, whatever. Any way I can offend you, I want to offend you. Go. What this movement needs is it needs warriors who understand that I'm going to stick by my brother who's at my left and at my right, willing to fight. And we don't always have to agree. And if you've always agreed with your brother or your sister or somebody you love, congratulations to you, you lying clown. So if you want to go, go. I didn't like what was on that post, not because I was offended by it, not because, not for the reasons you might think. I didn't like what was on that post because I thought it was crass. It had nothing to do with Ted Cruz. And you know what? If Ted Cruz is into porn, I don't care. Just be a good senator. We're not perfect human beings here, folks. And so then somebody else said, well, Kevin, then this other thing you wrote about the girl hooking up with Trump. I'm telling you what she wrote. It was in Vanity Fair. It was an interesting thing to me because it talks about the underlying love of Trump with this over the top. I can't stand Donald Trump. Oh, but I want to hook up with Donald Trump. Guys, if you missed the meaning of that, sorry. Maybe I should have been a little bit more descriptive, but that's what I was saying. I was saying that, these leftists come out here and pretend that they don't like Donald Trump or whatever, and you pin them down and go, well, let me ask you this. Do you like the fact that he saved these jobs, he saved that? You like the fact that your stock portfolio's gone up? You like the fact that America's GDP is back and we got unemployment here? You like the fact that people are bringing, ingenuity and design centers back to America? We're revitalizing our manufacturing? Whatever. What part of that do you not like? It's like the girl that's dating the bad boy, only to find out, you know what? He's not that bad. She brings him home and mom and daddy go, well, he's on a Harley and he's in, leather. But then they find out, well, when he's out of the Harley and not in leather, he's in a suit flying around in a private jet and he's a self-made billionaire. Oh, suddenly daddy likes him. When you're on a Harley, you wear your leathers in case you fall because you'd rather be in leather than in cotton. I guarantee you, certainly than silk. So, it's making the bigger point. If people don't get the bigger point, you know what? I don't know what to tell you. The people are, well, Kevin, your site is getting a bit risque. My site isn't risque. My site is at best PG-13. At best. Probably PG-11 if you really break it down. I want to do things that you can say to your kids and your grandkids, or explain to them, and they not be, they're like, oh, I get it. And occasionally, you know what? We might jump over that line, not to adulthood, but to 17, where we're explaining something that one of your kids in high school might need to understand. Oh my goodness, they've crossed the line. Let me tell you, folks, it's a line that's way out there when it comes to leftism. One of my writers said to me, Kevin, there was a deal where, I don't know, it had to do with kids and sex education or whatever. And I said, to me it's boring, but if you can go profile the last 10 things they've done in schools to sexualize kids, and let people know what's going on. She goes, okay, I'll write that. And as we were researching that, it was pretty disgusting. So when you talk about me talking about a girl hooking up with Trump voters, the Trump supporters, and going, I felt guilty, it was my worst hookup ever, whatever. If that offends you, then go somewhere else, seriously, and grow up. Go there and grow up. Because you know what? I get tired of this. I don't need to do this crap. I come on here every single day to try to elevate the discussion and give people some way to fight back. And the pushback is, oh, well, that was a bit offensive. I'm going to find something else. Then, you know what? Don't even tell me. Just go do it. I don't give a crap. What I'll tell you is this. I'm not going to sacrifice myself not do things that are natural to me because it might offend a percentage of the audience. I had some lady, what was she telling me? One lady, believe it or not, Kevin, when you use the word ain't, I had to stop listening to you. Really? Well, ain't that a bloop bloop, right? That's exactly what I was thinking. I'll use ain't as much as I want. Really, that's all it takes. Man, you people, the people that think like that, you have to understand. I cannot put it in stronger terms on the radio how much I detest you. Because you claim to be conservatives. You want to be the people that, oh man, we got your back. That's how you have my back? I don't want you. Because I know what a warrior looks like. I've trained him and I am one. And I'm not leaving you over ain't. I'm not leaving you over, oh my gosh, Kevin, I was offended by a picture. I can write you a note and say, man, I don't know who put that up, but you might take a look at it. Okay, cool. We can talk. But don't be threatening. Go. I promise you, I will not have any less. I mean, I'm not going to deal with you. Don't come back later. Hey, Kevin, why don't you accept my friend request? Screw you. Care about you. Anyway, I meant to cover something else, but I'm a little bit behind, so we're going to have to take a short break and do it again. Do it later.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
All right, everybody. Welcome. Kevin Jackson here. It is the Kevin Jackson Show, and I know how much you love the Kevin Jackson Show, so much that you send me notes at kjradio.com. You also give us phone calls at 844-551-8255. And I heard from a guy named John, and here's what he wrote to me. Love you, KJ. I'm sure in that manly kind of way. Not the prison manly, but regular manly kind of way. And he says, I'm a cop that loves your show. Keep fighting the fight. Look forward to listening. I shut off the radio and listen to your podcast when on patrol. See, that's the kind of cop I really like. And by the way, John, be safe out there. I don't want to go all, what was that show? That was back in something blues or whatever. But look, the point is be safe. Because you know what? I want you to check out our movie that we're making to prop you guys up out there doing great work. It's called Bleeding Blue, the movie. And you can go to bleedingbluemovie.com to check out the trailer. And we got a new trailer coming that's going to knock your socks off. Movie should wrap here in a few, and it'll wrap by the end of the month, and then we go from there. Probably going to release it sometime in January. Wanted to get it out before the holidays, but it's not really a, quote, holiday film. But who knows? We'll see what happens. Anyway, bleedingbluemovie.com. John, thanks for the note. So I was talking a while back, and I really got after some folks who said, Kevin, you're sexualizing your website. We focus on race and class for the most part, and then we weave in messaging based on the things that I see. It's a show about ideas, and some ideas may be a little bit more sensitive to you than others, depending on how you were raised. My youngest son, this boy walks around. I mean, he doesn't do it like he's sporting himself, but he comes out of the bathroom, butt naked with his towel or whatever. I never did that. I was like, oh, I ain't going out there like that, But he just kind of looks at his body as like, it's my body. It's no big deal. Now he understands he can't be doing that, around other people and stuff. But in terms of his mom and his dad, he's like, whatever. Now I didn't do that. So when I was a kid, I would have been like, ooh, whatever, get back. I got my towel. My son's different. My other sons are very different in their way too. Look, we all have our sensibilities, and sometimes they get challenged a bit. But nothing that we do is going to, in my opinion, cross the line to such a degree that you go, I can't follow Kevin Jackson. He's just a terrible guy. It's ridiculous. Because, I have a feeling of what I want for my children, what I want, you guys. I'll put it to you this way. If you're an adult and you're offended by the things that I do, it's pretty rare, or you just really need to check your sensitivity meter. Go get it recalibrated. Because, we're having fun out here with some serious topics, and I think making a difference. But anyway, I want to go back to, because this is what I was going to talk about before I got off on my tangent and started lecturing. We had written this post about this chick that likes to hook up with Trump voters, Trump supporters, men, and, she's like, I don't like these guys, but the politics are, like fuel for my passion or whatever. And I wanted to read a few of the comments because they were really interesting. And so I tell you guys, we may start a discussion, but you end up making it a lot more fun. So somebody wrote this. Someone who doesn't whine and complain, but gets the job done. Talking about Trump men versus this woman. It was a guy. I don't know his name. Another one wrote this. It's the only way she can have kids with brains is if she hooks up with a Trump supporter. Okay, I like that one. And then one lady wrote, I understand her, but what the heck was he thinking? Talking about the guy that actually hooked up with the Trump lover lady girl. Another one wrote this, a guy, because we have jobs and naughty bits. Now, he said something else I didn't say on the radio. And finally, and this was the prevailing comment. Yes, she wanted a real man and not a snowflake. That was the prevailing comment. But I thought the other ones were interesting. And I like that we provoke those kind of things. When I write about this stuff, it provokes you to come out with your thoughts. That is exactly what our role is in doing this. I didn't write the story because I wanted to write something, lewd. I wrote the story because and I said earlier, the underlying premise of the story was that all these people that tell you they don't like Trump and he doesn't do anything for me and I'm mad at Trump or whatever, secretly want to hook up with Trump in this, and I'm metaphorically speaking about it, but they want to hook up with Trump because he connects with them in the real world. They pretend that, oh, I can't stand him. He's just so mean. He's bad against, illegal immigrants and blah, blah, blah. But really and truly, they want him under the surface. That was the notion behind it. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about this hour. Comey is being pressured to come back and testify. We'll get into that a little bit, as we should. Hillary Clinton will not go away. There's an old country song that says, how are you going to leave when you're sitting on my face or something like that? And every time I hear about Hillary Clinton coming out with more and more about her book and these interviews and the blame game, I think to myself, if I were a leftist, I would be livid. They want the Clinton era over. Now, Hillary Clinton says, I'm not running for office anymore. Really? Shocker. I'm shocked. Are you? You remember they wanted her to theoretically run for mayor of New York. Imagine this. You've run for president twice. Now you want to be the mayor of New York. And you know why they didn't? Because she would have been embarrassed. She would have gotten beaten by de Blasio or, I don't know, some other leftist moron. And it would have just been it would have been a trifecta. And by the way, the people who were trying to mount this whole thing for Hillary to run, they're going, the polling didn't come back so good on this. So Hillary is sitting there going, oh, no, my political career, I'm done. I'm not going to run anymore. Like, even if they're asking me, let me tell you something. If they ask Hillary Clinton to run for president again in 2020, she'd do it. She would. If they gave her a poll that said, you could win this thing, Mrs. Clinton, or Secretary Clinton, she would go and do it for sure. There's no doubt in my mind. It was funny. One meme I saw said, Hillary, secret is in secretary, which is, and it got me curious about the origins of the word. Why do they call her a secretary, right? And maybe you guys know. Somebody let me know. Because I was thinking, when you think about a secretary, somebody who keeps your secrets, that's what a secretary does. That's what an administrative assistant does. There's an ASS, an assistant, isn't there? Anyway, yeah. So it got me curious. My producer looking. You guys solve. I just talk. You go solve my problem. So solve my curiosity during the break. We'll be back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. It turns out secretary did mean, thank you guys, somebody who was entrusted with secrets. And somehow along the way it modified to be someone who becomes an assistant to somebody else. But yeah, that was the original meaning of the word. It was like a notary or somebody, a court official who was appointed with, who was entrusted with secrets and yada, yada, yada. So there you go. Hillary Clinton, this non-secretary of state, the woman who exposed our secrets. But there's another person out there who was helping Hillary, and we're going to talk more about Hillary later in the broadcast because there's a couple things that I want to get into, but I want to talk about former FBI Director James Comey. And there was an article that, and the title of it was, Did Comey Break the Law by Exonerating Clinton? Now, y'all remember the speech where Comey set everything up, and then he declared that Clinton had not done anything. We could not put intent on her, something that we didn't really need in order to put her in prison. And now we see Clinton. She's pretty bold. I mean, honestly, I don't know how you would feel, but if I had the sketchy past of Hillary Clinton, I would be out of the spotlight. It floors me how much she's in the spotlight, and it seems like she's kind of poking the tiger. But, she's getting away with it. Look at Lois Lerner. Lois Lerner got exonerated by Donald Trump's Justice Department. Sessions, I don't know, just going to let her go, whatever. It was a long time ago. We won. The Tea Party seems like everybody's all right. So, okay. And I'm going, what are you talking about, man? Let me ask you this. And I'm talking to Jeff Sessions. When are we going to get a scalp? When do we get a head to put on the wall? Because we're waiting on that. We elected Donald Trump to get to the bottom. And by the way, you don't have to drain the entire swamp before bodies start to come up. You get what I'm saying? We want a scalp. We are hunters, and we want our den with a big old rhino or a donkey on the wall. And I don't think Trump's team is getting this. Don't misunderstand me. I love the other things that he's doing, but you can multitask. How about we get a special counsel looking into Hillary Clinton and Comey and Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton and Barack Obama? We could have 5 special counsels easily in this whole mess. But they said the White House announced that they accused James Comey of giving false testimony and suggested the JD, the Justice Department, look at whether he perjured himself. Of course he perjured himself. And Republican lawmakers stepped up pressure on the former FBI director to clarify apparent discrepancies in his public statements to Congress. It's funny, I've listened to the Comey testimony quite a bit, and it cracks me up because it's always got this circular thing where I'm not quite understanding what you were saying. Well, what I meant to say there was, it's always got this sort of out. If you listen to him testify, he's a slick dude. Anyway, they say this: since the director's firing, I like that, we've learned new information about his conduct that only provided further justification for that firing. This is Sarah Huckabee Sanders saying this, citing false testimony in her examples. Asked to clarify whether she thought Comey perjured himself or at least misled Congress, Sanders told Fox News' John Roberts, "I think that's something probably for the DOJ to look into, not me. I'm not an attorney." Well, I'm not an attorney either. But I know a liar when I see one, and I know a guy, when Comey came in, all the agents agreed that it would be a stupid move. I know it was different terminology, but he essentially said, you'd be stupid to prosecute this. And there were prosecutors going, well, then call me stupid because I would have prosecuted it. I mean, laymen, we were out here going, what are you talking about? There were example after example. There was example after example of people who did a lot less than any of the things that Clinton did who are serving time. And it just goes to show the justice system is so crooked when it comes to that. And it's an elite system where blacks, I'll just use this as an example, where black folks are like, man, this brother's in prison doing time for stuff that white folks, got a lot less time or didn't go to prison for. Well, from a class perspective, there are political elitists who've done things that would have landed the ordinary person, an ordinary military person or a bureaucrat, or certainly an ordinary tax-paying citizen in prison. And we're watching Hillary Clinton, Uma Abedin, and Lynn, whatever the lady's name, Cheryl Mills, and various others of the Clinton administration and Clinton's satellites, as they like to use that term, walk free. And Comey gave them immunity, in fact. So, I hope that Sessions like I said, I want a head. I want a head on the wall. I want to walk into my den, my metaphorical Republican conservative Tea Party den, and have my Tea Party cocktail friends over. And I want to say everybody to go, Kevin, Where'd you get the new head? And I'm going to go, well, it was a gift from the Republicans. Yeah, and we're going to sit around and talk about it. And maybe it'll be a whole series of them. Yeah, well, here's what we're thinking. You know, we've been on a couple of hunts and we've got a couple of heads, but we've got space for 3 more. Because I want to see Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Uma Abedin, Comey, and Loretta Lynch for starters. And we could go further. I mean, there's a lot of people in this whole cover-up. And so we could have a whole series of these things. And we should. It is ridiculous that we watch Comey testify, then lie, get fired because he's feigning all this nonsense, and write a book and get a multi-million-dollar deal for a book after he's convinced me and probably convinced many of you that he's a flat-out criminal. It's criminal that this happens. Anyway, Graham, who I have no respect for, but in this particular case, he says this doesn't add up, and I smell a rat here. There's some good political commentary. Well, it doesn't add up, and I smell a rat here. That's the way Lindsey Graham would say it. Representative John Ratcliffe of Texas added to those calls, saying Comey absolutely should be brought back to testify. Now, Comey, in his defense, he's done a good job of saying, you know what? I'm going to just lay low and stay out of the media and see what I can do. What about Susan Rice? She came back for something, didn't she? She's another scoundrel. I mean, just look at the number of people in Barack Obama's cabinet that come on, you'd have to be brain dead to not go, come on, at least somebody there has done something wrong. VA, IRS, Mexican gun running, and on. Benghazi, all these cover-ups. I mean, come on. And we can't get anybody? I lose faith in politics when we're in control and we can't get anything. Imagine, folks, if we don't have the House or the Senate or the presidency, what we can get accomplished.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
I think I am good, but that doesn't mean that I am complacent or resolved about what happened. It still is very painful. It hurts a lot.
Hillary Rodham Clinton has spent the last 10 months trying to figure out why she isn't president of the United States.
Can we talk about Election Day?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any clue what the outcome of that day would be?
No.
As the polls closed, Clinton's supporters gathered in a New York City convention center, expecting to see history being made. But as the returns came in, the celebratory mood began to fade.
You know, I just kind of went in the bedroom, laid down on the bed, just thought, okay, I just have to wait this out. But then midnight, I decided, well, looks like it's not going to work.
After midnight, she called Donald Trump, the president-elect. And then she called the White House.
You called the president?
I did. I felt like I had let everybody down.
Morning came, and the nation was waiting to hear from her.
I had not drafted a concession speech. I'd been working on a victory speech.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Hillary Clinton was so sure of winning, she did not even bother to draft a concession speech. She just said, I've got this thing locked in. Donald Trump can do nothing to me. God, I'll never forget the last week of the campaign. And they were leaving Pennsylvania, they were leaving Ohio, and they were going to focus their efforts on Texas because it was a lock. And then the day before, they were scrambling. We're not sure what's going on. Suddenly there was a shift in the polls. I don't know what they were looking at, but it cracks me up. And the fact that Hillary's still out there is amazing to me. And here's what's funny about it. They're retreading all these old stories about Hillary to promote this stupid book. This has been the most aggressive book promotion by Hillary Clinton I've ever seen. And she's written 3 of these Dogs with Fleas. They had a commercial of her from Time magazine, and it looked like Hillary's modeling. You got to see this on our site. They say something like Hillary Clinton, and she does this slow turn, like, and then looks at the camera, and you're like, oh no, because you can see it coming, full frontal. Hillary, boom. I mean, it is so funny to watch. Just think of, this, like you're looking away from the camera, and then you just sort of dip your neck, your chin, and turn towards the camera with this alluring look. Except it's Hillary Clinton. It is so funny. I saw it and I go, what next? Victoria's Secret? Runway? I mean, come on. Disgraced presidential candidate modeling for Time magazine. Her performance is a must see. But trigger warning, have a vomit bag, okay? And Hillary said Trump was creepy. If you see this, you'll understand why I'm saying that. It is creepy to watch Hillary Clinton try to be like, in your face. You guys have seen it. That's why y'all are chuckling. Because it is funny. It's creepy funny. I mean, when I look at that video of Hillary, I feel like flesh-eating worms are crawling all over me. And I'm helpless to move. And I can't speak. People are like, that's okay. They're going to eat him down to his bones. And then we won't have to bury him or something. He'll leave a skeleton for science. You get creeped out. Oh my gosh. Hillary discusses, that all of us are flawed. Yeah, the conservatives. She then emphasizes that women are oppressed by the double standards of flaws. She says, all people are flawed. We're all flawed. Yeah. But then she goes on to talk, but the problem is there's a double standard when it comes to flaws. Women cannot be flawed. And she goes, I think it comes really early in girls' lives. I think particularly building the confidence of little girls is a big first step. For the record, very true. So what builds the confidence of little girls the best? I'm just going to stop for 3 seconds and let you ponder it. And I'm not even counting your 3 seconds right now. I want you to give you plenty of time to ask yourself, what do you think gives little girls the most confidence in their lives? 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3. Yes, it would be their parents. And particularly, anybody? Daddy. That's right. Daddy's going to give them all kinds of confidence. Daddy will show a little girl how she should be treated by the way he treats her mother. Daddy will show a little girl how she should be treated by how he treats his daughter. He will be a role model for her, for men, and he will be the template. And so she's exactly right. But then go ahead and extrapolate and ask yourself, what policies do Democrats invoke that give anything close to this? They have ruined the family. We're all flawed. And I love this part. Having more role models, because you can't, as the saying goes, imagine doing something you can't even see. And I love how this is a direct transcript from what she said. How do you plan to be an underseas explorer, a general in the military, or a great scientist if you don't see role models? So I was like, what? I know. If only women could be any of those things in this male-dominated, extremely flawed society that exacerbates the women's flaws. If only history were to teach us about, I don't know, women in very interesting roles. I can't speak for underwater exploration, but I do know of Carolyn Herschel's work in the cosmos. And there was an article in the Smithsonian about her, and it says, Carolyn became a brilliant astronomer in her own right, discovering new nebulae and star clusters. She was the first woman to discover a comet. She discovered 8 in total. and the first to have her work published by the Royal Society. She was also the first British woman to get paid for her scientific work. So I can't speak for underwater, but I can speak for the cosmos. And as for generals, I hate to burst Hillary Clinton's little bubble, but not only are women generals, we actually have 2 4-star women generals. Are you guys aware of this? So Time, the very same people who documented Hillary's creepy video, are the ones who wrote an article that said, things certainly have changed since Janet Wolfenberger walked up the long ramp at the Air Force Academy in 1976 under a sign declaring in 2-foot-high brushed aluminum letters, "Bring me men." She was one of 97 women in the 899-strong Academy class of 1980, the first ever to admit females. When I came in, there was still an executive order on the books that if a woman became pregnant, she could be separated from service. Wolfenberger said, just think, in my lifetime, we have come from that point to where we are today, where we have 2 4-stars, women, 2 women 4 stars. Yeah. So Hillary's saying, well, little girls can't even envision being generals. Wow. And what about great female scientists? I mean, I already talked about Carolyn Herschel. But what about Marie Curie? First woman to win a Nobel Prize. But it was bigger than that because she accomplished something few men have done. She won the award in 2 categories, physics and chemistry. Curie discovered plutonium and radium, and her work helped with the creation of X-rays. Now, I don't know if you know much about her, but this woman was rock star status smart, worked with Einstein. Have you heard of Rosalind Franklin? She continued Curie's innovations and worked as an X-ray crystallographer and a biophysicist. People don't even know who she is. She contributed to the comprehension of molecular structures. I want you to think about that. If it weren't for Rosalind Franklin and her most notable work around X-ray diffraction images of DNA, the double helix structure, you know what I'm talking about? The little thing that winds around, that maps your DNA. We wouldn't have made all those strides in the human genome if it weren't for her. And Hillary probably doesn't even know her name. And what about Lise Meitner? Without her, the world may not have discovered nuclear fusion. She worked with Otto Hahn, a famous physicist who got the Nobel Peace Prize, and the Nobel Peace Commission or people said, you know what? It's a travesty that we didn't give her this award. Female mathematicians who helped NASA. Remember the movie they just made? What was it? Hidden Figures? About the black chicks that helped. I mean, I think it was Armstrong that said, don't give me the numbers until, let me give you the actual quote. Get the girl, check the numbers. And that's what he said before boarding the rocket. He says, if she says they're good, I'm good to go. He was talking about the black mathematician. They called them computers. And Hillary Clinton says women need role models. Women have role models. They need the right ones.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. I always like to try to enlighten people when we talk about various others. So, for example, if I talk about Hillary Clinton, I don't need to bash Hillary Clinton. She's an evil person as far as I'm concerned. All she cares about is herself. But it's one thing to have my opinion about her, and it's another to give you proof of the things that I'm talking about. And we just went through Hillary Clinton's creepy video where she's saying to young women, you need role models. And you need to be confident about who you are growing up. And she's exactly right. Hillary's right. The problem is Hillary doesn't believe that young girls have role models, nor does she understand that the way for a young girl to have confidence is to have two parents that really love her, a mother whom she can emulate, and a father whom she will look for the same qualities in a man that her dad has in her mate. That's how we cull the herd, so to speak. That's how women say, you know what? I'm not going to settle for the weak guy. I'm going to get myself a guy who really knows what he's about. And hopefully he comes from a good family and yada, yada, yada. Why do you think? I mean, it sounds rather prudish, but it's very true. People would say when you were courting, they'd say, well, who's his family? And the young girl would go, well, he's one of the Johnsons that own the Mini Mart. And they go, oh, the Mini Mart Johnsons. Oh, okay. People cared about what your family was like. They didn't, you could bring a girl home and, dad would go, hey, it looks pretty cute. But mom would go, well, who's her? Tell us about your family. Oh, well, my father, he's the GM over at blankety blank, and my mother, she's a housewife or whatever. That's how they would do these things. They would explain to you, and it was dead serious. And your parent, by the way, I'm going to get into black and white here in a second, but parents would be like, she's a nice girl, but she's not from a good family, honey. Well, Mama, I just don't care about her family. Well, you ought to, son. Her daddy's in prison and blah. Now, using that as an example, I couldn't have gotten married anytime with anybody because, Kevin's daddy's in prison. But I'm just, I would say things, if I was back in the day, I would have said, well, my father went to prison and I'm dang determined not to go. But you get what I'm saying. It was a big deal. But Hillary Clinton's talking about this stuff, still out on the trail. People are saying, will you please just go away? And she says, quite frankly, bluntly, I'm not going away to the left. And I'll get to that in a second. But I was talking about these role models. Hillary Clinton says, we don't have underseas explorers. And where are the women generals? And where are the scientists? Well, they're out there. And there's plenty of them. And there's lots more than that. They're amazing attorneys. Remember the lady, the prosecutor, Darden or whatever, that prosecuted OJ? She was a role model for a lot of people. What about Oprah Winfrey? Is she a role model? There are women out there doing spectacular things, running large corporations, scientists, and people creating things, manufacturing types, architects. But Hillary Clinton is saying, where are the role models? And you know why she's saying it? Because she's thinking politicians. Hillary believes herself to be a role model, a failed attorney turned political wife who parlayed her career from a bunch of men, and that's what she now believes herself to be. That's what's important to her. That's the thing that she believes makes young girls go, oh my gosh. Hillary thinks herself a role model because she ran for president twice and got her butt kicked. I'd ask you a very simple question. Compare Hillary's record to Marie Curie, to Carolyn Herschel. I mean, to any of the women that, I don't know who you emulate in terms of scientists, but there are lots of folks out there. Lise Meitner, I mentioned her earlier. These are people that have left their mark in science that continues to this day. I was talking about the women that they made the movie about, Hidden Figures, but there was one in particular. Her name was Katherine Johnson. She was in NASA's segregated West Area Computers Division. And John Glenn wouldn't fly to space unless she had checked his numbers. They were computers and skirts. They called them computers. Give me a computer. And they didn't mean it like IBM. They meant somebody who can compute the trajectory, the angles and trajectories. So Katherine Johnson worked on the Redstone, Mercury, and Apollo space programs for NASA. And I don't know if you've seen the movie or read the book or followed anything about these ladies, but they were getting the launch angles wrong, and we were in a space race with the Soviets who sent the cosmonaut into space, and it created the space race, and we couldn't get there. And in this untold story, all these great minds that were of these white men who were working in NASA couldn't get these launch angles correct, and so we couldn't figure out how to get a big rocket into space and back. And that's what the big issue was. And so this lady, they were giving her classified, redacted data for her to do the calculations. She's like, I can't do these calculations without the data. And they go, well, that's what we have. And the scientists, the white guys would go, we don't need you to double check our work. And that was her goal. Her role was to double check their work. And so at one point, the guy who's over the launch commander, whatever they call the guy, he says, look, I'm not here for you to check the work of these amazing mathematicians. I'm here for you to think beyond their work, to understand what we're trying to do and get me some numbers. And that's what she did. And built her reputation to such a degree that John Glenn goes, I ain't flying until she's verified the numbers. He didn't want to die in space. But Hillary Clinton says, no, these girls need role models. No, they don't. There's plenty of role models for women. Plenty of them. They're just not in politics. Nor are they being discussed. And let me tell you, when you want to make it racial, let me ask you, what do you think is the future of black folks when 72% of girls are being raised by single moms? 72% of black children are being raised by single moms. What do you think these young people have in terms of role models? Who are their role models? Jay-Z? The dude selling drugs on the streets that's driving a nice car? Who are their role models? Why do they not have their whole family units to look up to? Their mother and their father, the most formative figures in your life. The people who are going to dictate who you like, who you don't like, who you befriend or not befriend. That kind of thing. These are the people that are going to set the standard, and they don't exist. Or mom may exist, but she's got 3-4 kids, and she can't give you the attention she needs to give because there is no rest for her. There is no peace. Somebody always needs something, and she can't give out that much love because she doesn't have a partner. Or maybe it's worse for her because she's got to work extra. I don't know, situation. You guys can come up with any scenario you want, and I guarantee you we can find it for you. So Hillary Clinton understands what it takes for a young woman to get, to feel good about herself, but she does nothing to address it, and neither does her party. The Democrat Party does not care about these young girls in the ghetto who are being raped on Facebook, who are being demoralized in rap videos and all other kinds of ways. She doesn't care about them. She doesn't care about the young boys who are doing it because they have no respect for women. But she'll make you believe it. She'll make you think she does. The Democrats will make you think they care about these folks. Hillary Clinton says, my career as a candidate is over. I'm done. I'm not running for office. But for those, including Democrats, who would like her to just go away, she says, well, they're going to be disappointed. I'm not going anywhere. I have the experience. I have the insight. I have the scars that I think give me not only the right, but the responsibility to speak out. She believes she's earned the right and the responsibility to speak out because Hillary Clinton knows what's going on. What happened in her book? That's what she wants to talk about. And she calls out sexism in politics. Sexism, it's everywhere. Just look for it. I talked to a liberal on the plane the other day. I go, show it to me. Show me your sexism. Well, Kevin, we don't make the same amount of money. I go, that's absolute nonsense. I said, prove it. Give me an example where you go, this person, and I gave her examples of where I negotiated and said, I know girls that came out of college with me that got paid less, but it was because they were bad negotiators. She couldn't do it.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.